MVP is where the conversation took I would say, a dramatic turn. Josh Allen named MVP over Lamar Jackson. And it's funny because on this show, I've endorsed both guys for MVP during different parts of the year. I remember after watching, it was a 2 week run where Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I want to say they ran over the Detroit Lions and the LA Rams. And Josh was magical in those performances. I witnessed him up close on a Monday night against the Jacksonville Jaguars, completely beat their back out single handedly with his unique talents. However, Lamar Jackson put up ridiculous numbers and leading the Ravens into the playoffs. He, with both of these guys, were well over 40 total touchdowns. Lamar Jackson surpassed him when it came to passing yards and rushing yards and all of those things. And so there was a conversation where you thought that he would be the guy that would win MVP. And in most instances, that is the case. When you're the first team all pro recipient, you normally do that. You normally win the award. But there was a little bit of I'll say maybe a debate about the word valuable, because the honor is most valuable player. It's not most outstanding player, it's most valuable. And the debate in Josh Allen's corner is, look, he did the most with the least when you look at the two teams. Whereas Lamar Jackson had Derrick Henry, two-time rushing champion. He had Mark Andrews, an accomplished tight end. He had Zay Flowers, who was a Pro Bowl player. He had other Pro Bowlers around him. Josh Allen basically was a one-man show for the Buffalo Bills. The only other Pro Bowler on that team when it originally was named was Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins is a fine offensive lineman, but he certainly is not someone who helps Josh Allen get the ball out on the perimeter. So Josh Allen is certainly worthy of being the MVP. I think you can make a strong and solid argument for him winning the award over Lamar Jackson. I think the surprise actually came when the 50 voters, because the Associated Press has 50 voters that are on the panel that vote. And I think the surprise is when you reveal those votes and you see that Lamar Jackson finished fourth behind guys on certain ballots. And Pat Mahomes was third on some ballots. And all of those things matter because the total points end up being the difference. And there was 20 total points between Josh Allen's total and Lamar Jackson's total and those things. And so the debate kind of rages on, like, who gets the vote? Why did they get the vote? Why was it Josh Allen's turn to get MVP? Was it a little bit of Lamar Jackson fatigue? Oh, you won it last year, let's give it to somebody else, because that also kind of tends to play out. We saw that in the NBA way back with Michael Jordan, when Charles Barkley won it, Karl Malone won it. You could give it to Jordan every year, but you kind of grew tired of saying, hey, Michael Jordan is the best player in the league. Let's find someone else who had a great year and celebrate them. And so to me, this was the league celebrating Josh Allen's greatness over a 5-year period. I've talked about the accolades, like 5 straight years with 25 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns. He and Lamar Jackson are one of only 3 players in the league to have 40 total touchdowns, fewer than 7 interceptions, and 500 or more rushing yards. So both of those guys were right there. And so I don't necessarily have a debate over both of those guys. But what I will say is maybe the biggest loser in this debate, Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson, would probably be Saquon Barkley. And the reason why I would say Saquon Barkley probably gets lost in the debate, because we're talking about quarterbacks and we're talking about how important quarterbacks are to the game and how essential quarterbacks are to the success of their team. And Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson certainly are essential pieces to the puzzle, the hopeful championship puzzle that the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens are putting together respectively. But I don't know if you could say that they're more valuable than Saquon Barkley. And the reason why I say they're not more valuable than Saquon Barkley in terms of his role and his contributions to the Eagles, he's been the single difference maker to this offense and to this team. You think about him coming over from the New York Giants, rushing for 2,000 yards in that offense, and how he has allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to run roughshod over the competition to make their way to the Super Bowl 59. We can talk about Jalen Hurts, and there's a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about that when we preview the matchup. But Saquon Barkley has allowed Jalen Hurts to be a complementary piece of the offensive puzzle. He has allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to win with two marquee pass catchers on the outside, basically making minimal contributions for most of the season in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Saquon Barkley has been so good that when he teamed with the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, which is regarded as the top 1, 2, or 3 offensive lines in football, they have become an unstoppable force on the ground. Looking at the stat from the championship game, I think he has 70 runs of 60 plus yards. 77 60 plus yard plays. Don't see that as a running back. You think about how they've been able to be a high octane machine while running the football. That is directly attributed to Saquon Barkley. So even though I can acknowledge that, look, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson should have won MVP, I think if we really did a deep dive in terms of value to their team, I think you can make the case that Saquon Barkley was overlooked and maybe he deserved a little more love in that debate. Something to look, just interesting to talk about. They'll continue to talk about it like going forward, but Saquon Barkley needs a little more love.